District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have never committed a crime. That's why a prosecutor has never talked in court during any of my appearances. This is a document that's going to arrive in your office tomorrow. I'm going to tell you what's in this document. First, I'm going to tell you who it's going to. You, Sheriff Baxter. That's it right there. You, District Attorney Doorley. Michelle Crowley's getting this, the director of the grand jury who indicts me when I don't know the grand jury's convened. How is this explained, Michelle Crowley? I've sent documentation to your office about Michael Houlihan perjuring himself to the grand jury. I'm going to write a criminal complaint about him. You know what's going to happen to Michael Houlihan? Nothing. He won't be arrested. He won't be fired. Lying about me swinging a hammer at him on my back porch. Do you even know what I'm talking about, Michelle Crowley? Lisa Gray is getting this, counsel to the district attorney. Trinity Ross, the United States Attorney for Western District of New York, who is in Buffalo. Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, who made the decision at your vile, sick, disgusting shack at 47 South Fitzhugh to force me in to this $208,000 former employee of the district attorney's office, extremist? Who did that to me? Lisa Preston, who is an employee of New York State Supreme Court. I don't know if it's a clerk, but someone like him, I believe, definitely has a clerk. So that's why Lisa Preston's getting it. Mark Phillips, the Monroe County Public Defender. Mark, contact me at 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604, and tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence. How am I in jail, Mark, when a prosecutor doesn't talk to court? Regina Harper? Do I even have to say it, Regina? James P. Mully Jr., you freed this violent Doug. Jermaine Lamar Badman, who snapped my head back at the gym. I'm charged with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of Andrew Reale's police vehicle. And because this is a deal with Jessica Wagner at the district attorney's office and you, James P. Mully Jr., you walk right out the door a free man. So I'm going to tell the United States House of Representatives Committee on Judiciary, United States Senate Committee on Judiciary about you, and the Office of Court Administration, the Office of Governor Kathy Hochul, because you, James P. Mully Jr., believe in violence. Paul C. Metzler in Pemberton Town Court, how did you get a copy of my health care records? Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. You know what my mother and father know, Paul C. Metzler, because Sheriff Todd Baxter delivered my private health care records to you. Because you asked me a question, only my mother and father know. And Regina Harper knows, but I didn't tell Regina Harper. I told my mother and father. How do you know what only I told my mother and father? Because Sheriff Todd Baxter delivered my health care records to you, Paul C. Metzler. Because he's corrupt, because he's a criminal. And you, Paul C. Metzler, are corrupt, and you're a criminal. So, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Jansen McNair, he's getting this. The Office of Public Integrity. Now, demanding information from you over and over and over. And you're refusing to provide it to me. Why? Because you're corrupt, that's why. Over and over and over, I'm demanding information from you. And over, you're refusing to comply with it. Quote, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's Lord Acton, who's an English Catholic historian from the 19th century. You're absolutely corrupted. And the sheriff's office and district attorney's office, and you will never know it. You will never know you're corrupt. Even though I'm telling you over and over and over that you're corrupt. So, this is what you're going to get in your office tomorrow. February 9th. Sandra Doorley, District Attorney, 47 South 50, Rochester, New York, 14604. Todd, Baxter, Sheriff, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, New York. Resign. YouTube silence and violence. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd, Baxter, Judge Alex Renzi. So, it's a letter I sent to Robert J. Valenti at the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. I read that recently. Blue wall silence. You're going to get this. Richard J. Seaton, who walked into the Pembroke Public Library and violently attacked me, Todd Baxter. I've talked about this repeatedly. You're the blue wall of silence because you approve of Richard J. Seaton violently attacking me at the Pembroke Public Library. When I write this assault complaint about him, he won't be arrested, he won't be fired. Because you love violence, Todd Baxter. That's why. This is February 5th. This is a simple name for this YouTube. It's called Information at District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter. It's called Information because I'm demanding names of my prosecutors. That's why. And here it is. These are all your emails. You got it. I changed email. I only use the email once because I know you can block me. This is a new email, so you can't block me because I'm demanding information from you. It's the Regina Harper, Mark Phillips. Regina Harper, Mark Phillips. I'm telling Regina Harper, Mark Phillips. Tell me the names of my prosecutors. My own public defenders, who I've lost total respect for, won't tell me the names of my prosecutors. These are de facto employees of the District Attorney's Office and Sheriff's Office. February 2nd, Psychopaths Incorporated. Do I even have to say it? Why are you Psychopaths Incorporated? Silence and violence. I do have to say it. Silence of the District Attorney's Office is delivering me to jail. The violence of the Sheriff's Office accompanies me being delivered to jail. Over and over and over. Like at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans. Where I've talked about this repeatedly, with your female employee with the Marine-style haircut and tattoo watched me violently attack, my head's driven down into the concrete pavement. How's that explained to the Department of Justice? This year, February 1, to Lisa Gray. These links here: 4 Perry Douglas of Monmouth County District Attorney's Office. Perjurer, $73,312. Michael C. Houlihan of Monmouth County Sheriff's Office. Violence. Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, $75,904. Richard J. Seaman. So I've said this a number of times now about Michael C. Houlihan and Richard J. Seaman. Over and over. I read your salaries again here on January 29th. It says right up here, public employee salaries disclosed. Sheriff Todd Baxter, public employee salaries disclosed. Sandra Doorley, demanding how you pay your employees beyond the 40th hour for overtime, time and a half, however that's done. This is January 26th here. You got this. You're going to look at this tomorrow. And in every single one, demanding information and refuse. This is, again, fanaticism. Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, Security Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi, the Houlihan link, the Seaman link. It's called rejection, accountability, value, because rejecting my freedom of information law document. It's called accountability because I'm demanding accountability of you. The language has a purpose. And you don't understand the English language. Language requires precision. And you don't even understand the precise use of language. Such as right here on January 28th. That you have in your possession. Freedom of information law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Pembroke Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for Paul C. Metzer in Pembroke Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. Freedom of information law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. I have at least 3 prosecutors. I believe I have more. I could have 6, 7, 8 prosecutors, given what you've done to me. What are the names of my prosecutors? You pathetic diva, Sandra Doorley. I believe that the Attorney General himself, Merrick Garland, called you and said, disclose the names of prosecutors, citizens of Rochester, New York. You would refuse. That would never happen. If it did, your level of insane corruption is refusal. It is insane corruption for you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, for you, Perry Douglas, to refuse to disclose the names of prosecutors in a public proceeding that's a courtroom. So, this here is January 26th. It says, comply with the attached PDF dated January 26th, 2023, that is 73 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive at your offices via United Postal Service tomorrow. Mail the information I demand to the address below in Rochester, New York. This includes the names on prosecutor's silence. Christopher Chichester, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. And when I go there, there's going to be documentation in there for you compelling me to go into a courtroom where you know you don't have to talk to the district attorney's office. I'll be over there at the hackocracy again at 99 Exchange in New York State Supreme Court for an Alex Renzi or somebody else. So you can just declare me guilty of some fiction, some lie you manufactured at the district attorney's office with the assistance of Psychopaths Incorporated at the sheriff's office. And there I'm going to be in jail again, where again, for the 7th time, I don't have any due process. I don't have any civil or constitutional rights. And who the fuck is doing this to me at your repulsive shack, the district attorney's office? And you're refusing every time to tell me. January 24th, the perfect 2-word description for you, Sandra, Doorley, and Todd Baxter. You're freaks. Comply with the attached PDF dated January 24, 2023. That is 70 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive at your offices via registered mail return receipt from the United States Postal Service tomorrow. Mail the information I demand to the address below in Rochester, New York. This includes the names of prosecutor's silence. So, January 18th, comply with attached PDF dated January 18, 2023, 71 Freedom of Information Law documents, YouTube rejection, YouTube accountability. This is January 18th again, unethical. Over and over, demanding the same information. This photograph here is why you're a fanatic. This photograph is why you're an extremist. This photograph is why you're a liar. This photograph is why I know the name is $67,000 disgusting act Shannon Meyer, who's now paid $83,000. This photograph is why people hate the police. You will never know, you Benito Mussolini skinhead Todd Baxter, why people hate the police. I'm going to show you right now. That's called surveillance device that I was on. Regina Harper sent me the links. It was on the phone of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee. Is this private technology you're using upon me, you Benito Mussolini skinhead Todd Baxter? Or did you buy it to fix it for me? You're still lie about it. You cannot control your sick compulsion to lie, Sheriff Todd Baxter. Neither can your employees. This is January 14th. Jansen McNair, the Office of Public Integrity, who's returning my mail, just like Regina Harper and Mark Phillips. The Office of Public Integrity, former employee of the Sheriff's Office. That's why Jansen McNair, in the documentation, where I'm telling him I'm being violently attacked, I'm telling him that the District Attorney's Office refused to disclose any of the prosecutors. He sends it back to me because he's copied on here. The Director of Public Integrity, Jansen McNair, former employee of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, has no integrity. So, again, January 12th, more information, 2 more links. January 10th, more information, more links. January 10th, it's called rejection because you rejected every single one, and that was correct. This is January 5th. On January 5th, comply with the attached PDF dated January 5th, 2023. That is 66 Freedom of Information Law documents. This attached PDF will arrive at your offices via United Postal Service tomorrow. Mail the information I demand to the address below in Rochester. This includes the names of my prosecutors and silence. December 26th, same thing. December 22nd, same information. That's called hatred. Hatred is the perfect word for you, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley. January 3rd, amoral. 66 Freedom of Information Law documents sent on January 3rd. Perry Duckles on January 1st. Attached to PDF, a 61-page Freedom of Information Law document dated December 20, 2022 that arrived in your office via UPS. This documentation also arrived on December 22nd, 2022 and December 26th, 2022 via UPS. It was tracked. You have it. Print each. Bring it to your corrupt boss, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Tell us pathetic accumulation of health afflictions. Send the information to me at UPS address listed below. It includes the names of my prosecutor's silence. What's not to understand? I've demanded names of my prosecutor's silence for 18 months. Are you confused why I state that you're corrupt and you are? So over and over, getting this via email, November 28th. November 28th, 3 links here. On November 28th, the demanded names on prosecutor's silence, including if you settled sexual harassment lawsuits under Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So over and over and over, you're getting this. And it's a photograph attached. It's a black and white photo, but I have a better photo. I'm going to contact Lollipop Farm Humane Society soon. I'm going to contact you. And I'm going to put this photo in there, the color photo. Showed it to my residence, demand my dog Todd Baxter. I'm not going to talk about this now. This is a better photo. I'm going to place this on top of the The documents I sent to the sheriff's office, district attorney's office. When I contact Lollipop Farm, Humane Society. About you showing up to my residence to demand my dog, to confiscate my dog. I've talked about that on YouTube called Dog Snatcher of Monroe County, which is you, Todd Baxter. That's why people hate the police. You will never know why people hate the police. This is just UPS where I'm demanding names on prosecutors. So, how is this explained, Todd Baxter? Employees underwater and pool. I don't care if it's private and it's taxpayer dollars. This specifically precisely is why you're corrupt. Is this taxpayer dollars or is it not taxpayer dollars? You hired a photographer. You rented the pool. It's money. It's taxpayer money. When I contact Thomas P. DiNapoli, the controller of the state of New York, in Albany, this is going to be one of the first things I talk about why you're corrupt, why you're fleecing taxpayers. So, I'll repeat things. What is wrong with you at that sheriff's office? Why are you consumed with hatred of the heart and malevolence and fanaticism that is represented by your then $67,000 hack when I first saw myself on this thing, who you gave a $16,000 raise to, Shannon Meyer? The nightmare corrupt cop for every New Yorker is Shannon Meyer, warrant for my arrest for a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. What does this buffoon do on a daily basis? Because she's violating my civil and constitutional rights. She's doing this to other innocent citizens, and it doesn't matter to you because you're corrupt, Todd Baxter. That's why. Merriam-Webster defines a psychopath as a mentally unstable person. That's you, Todd Baxter. That's you, Sandra Doorley. Merriam-Webster defines a narcissist as an extremely self-centered person who has an exaggerated sense of self-importance. And that's you, Sandra Doorley, and that's you, Todd Baxter. I'm demanding in the Freedom of Information Law documents you have it. Send me a new check for $61.39 because this is the money I had in my pocket when Richard J. Stevens violently attacked me. When I write the criminal complaint about him, he won't be arrested, he won't be fired, he won't be charged with anything. Slamming me in the head and falling down on the ground. Freedom of Information Law. For repeat things, corruption requires repetition. The issuance of a new check to Christopher Chise, just the address below for an expired check in the amount of $61.39 for the County of Monroe Office of Sheriff Inmate Fund account, because that's the dollar amount in the pocket of Christopher Chise just when he was violently attacked at the Benford Public Library by $75,904 Richard J. Stevens, Monroe County Sheriff's Office. It doesn't matter to you that I'm stalked into the Benford Public Library and attacked by Richard J. Stevens. So, these are all the Freedom of Information Law documents. There's a few more here in front of my TV. Over and over and over, demanding information from you. You're refusing to provide it. Christopher Chichester, 640 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. When am I going to be in court again? When am I going to be in front of another corrupt judge where a prosecutor doesn't have to talk in court? When am I going to be violently attacked by a sheriff's office employee again? All this is going to happen to me. I'll be in court. I'll be forced into a court by one of you sociopaths, district attorney's office, where that sociopath, district attorney's office who forces me into court doesn't have to talk, doesn't have to make an argument that I committed a crime. And then a corrupt judge, just like Alex Renzi, Paul Cimentra, John P. Lementer Jr., is just going to rule me guilty where I don't have any due process. And then I'm going to be in jail where I'm kept in jail, held in jail, and I'm not told how long my sentence is. It's exactly what's going to happen to me. And I'm going to come back here to YouTube and say, I told you this was going to happen to me. So, now, you will never know you're corrupt. Do you know what justice is about, Todd Baxter, Senator Doorley? Do you know what it comes down to? As I now know, late in life for me, it comes down to money. I never would have spent one day in jail if I had money. That's what it's all about. That's justice in the United States of America. Every now and again, you get to be a part of justice being done. And that's really quite a thrill when it happens. That's Tom Hanks in one of my favorite films, Philadelphia. I love that quote, but I'm not sure I agree with it. But I'm in the pursuit of justice. And I don't know if I'll succeed or fail. To me, I don't know yet. I don't know yet if it's success or failure. But I'm trying. Life's about effort. So I was evicted and I have nothing. Every single thing I own is gone. And the destruction of a life, when I've been in jail 6 times, and if 6 times the prosecutor doesn't talk in court, doesn't matter to you. And the fact that I say I have nothing is true. So I'm buying things that I once had to remind me of my life and who's in my life. So this is St. Christopher Medal, which I've worn since elementary school. My mother first bought me one because she said St. Christopher will protect you. I don't believe that at all anymore. But I wear this thing about my mother. I had to buy a new St. Christopher medal, even though I had more than 10, in a little box in my dresser, in my room, including one that was given to me by my mother when I was in elementary school and I no longer have. Because my landlords that I hope burn in hell, Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano, locked the doors and locked me out. Giuseppe Spano is the 47-year-old son. He had multiple sclerosis. He's dead. The father, Antonino Spano, lived in Fairport. I believe he is still alive. I'm going to go into detail about the criminal complaint demanding that Antonino Spano be arrested. He won't be arrested. I'll write a criminal complaint about Neeraj Shah and Layla Kumar Shah going to the sheriff's office, for me walk through the parking lot, because it's not a crime. Because 20 plus people walk through that parking lot, beginning at 7 a.m. all the way to midnight, because where I would sit on my couch, I could see them. This Layla Kumar Shah, Neeraj Shah, 50-year-old man who lives with his 70-year-old mother, going to the sheriff's office, false reporting an incident. And when I write the criminal complaint about both of them, it's not just one, because an accusatory instrument, even though Neeraj Shah is screaming at me like a psychopath in a parking lot, the accusatory instrument for me says Layla Kumar Shah, which is really surprising to me. I don't get that, because the son's losing his mind, screaming at me, and the mother goes to the sheriff's office and talks to Shannon Meyer, which is bizarre. So, prosecutor's silence, January 28th. Prosecutor's silence, who are they? January 26th. Prosecutor's silence, who are they? January 24th. Prosecutor's silence, who are they? January 18th. There's 70 in each one. Prosecutor's silence, who are they? Once again, January 18th. Prosecutor's silence, January 10th. I get to a new one here. Prosecutor's silence, who are they? January 12th. And the first one I wrote in New Year's, January 5th. I'm just going to open this. I'm going to look at a foil I wrote on January 5th. And I know with absolute certainty, you didn't comply with it. This one here I'm particularly interested about. When I look at them, I'm interested in all of them, but they're ones that I really seek, given what I can do moving forward. Ryan Fisher's in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm limited with what I can do with that, because he's a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. He's in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm trying to humiliate and embarrass him, because I'm trying to humiliate and embarrass you, Todd Baxter. This one here I just looked at. This is something I could do an action with. This is not something I've made a decision about what I'll do moving forward. And this one here says that I opened up randomly and looked at it. The personal financial disclosure of supervising judge, New York State Supreme Court, 7th Judicial District, Alex Renzi. He got this on January 5th. There's no financial disclosure for this $208,000 supervising judge in New York State Supreme Court, and this is why he's corrupt. I'm going to write him. I could possibly write 1,000+ words just on this alone and how he's refusing, because he can have massive conflicts of interest with his personal finances, given his defendants in his courtroom. He presides over murder trials. How am I being forced into him? Who's doing this to me? He presided over the trial of the University of Rochester students, this torture case, this abhorrent act of violence here in Monroe County. I'm in there with him, the guy who's presiding over murder trials and torture trials. Who made the decision to force me into Alex Renzi? Perry Duckles, what's the answer? And you know the answer and you refuse, and this is why you're corrupt. You're Jonestown at that district attorney's office. You will never know it. So, Never, never, never give up. That's Winston Churchill. I have that quote in front of me that motivates me. So, this is the district attorney's office payroll. Who's doing this to me? Who is it? I just read the foils. Who is it? Perry Duckles. Who is it? Michelle Crowley, who indicts me when I don't know the grand jury's convened. Who is it? You can find out easily. You can indict a ham sandwich. You know exactly what I'm talking about, Michelle Crowley. Why didn't you call me to the grand jury? Are the minutes to the grand jury? Are the witnesses in the grand jury? Is it 18 to 24 grand jurors? How are the grand jurors selected? Where was the grand jury? Does it take a majority vote? I'm going to write all this down. I've contacted you previously about it, but I have more questions. I'm a forever indicted person because of you, you disgusting hack, Michelle Crowley. You're online talking about how you and Sandra Doorley go to social functions. You know what I'm talking about. If you're going to go off somewhere to some high society thing in Rochester, don't tell anybody about it, Michelle Crowley. So, you got this on January 22nd. You signed for it. It's in the documentation. Why say that Michael Houlihan purged himself to the grand jury? I didn't hear anything from you. Why say that Richard Siebens violently attacking these two links? I didn't hear anything from you. These two deserve an opportunity to respond because I'm trying to terminate their employment. Did you call him into your office, Todd Baxter? You asked Richard J. Siebens this question. Did you walk into the Penfield Public Library and attack a citizen? Did you do that? Did you clothesline a citizen, slam a citizen in the head? Did you do this with Richard J. Siebens? The answer is no. Because you're the most ridiculous cop cliche there is. You're the blue wall sounds. Did you ask Michael Houlihan and Don Benedetto what they're doing hiding and hibernating on the private property of my 72-year-old neighbor and how I ran away the whole time? It's impossible for me to swing a hammer at Michael Houlihan. And then when I appeared before Duke of New York, A#1 Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, he tells me there's no such thing as attempted felony assault. Either it's assault or it's not assault. I don't know yet if that's true. So, who is it? Who's doing this to me? Who are the prosecutors of silence? Prosecutors talk in court. Did you ever sit there in court, you pathetic diva Sandra Doorley, and not talk as a defendant delivered to jail? Have you ever done that in your 30 eternal years at the district attorney's office? Conviction integrity unit. I'm also demanding when this conviction integrity unit meets and if there are minutes to it, because there are public meetings laws in the state of New York. So you're refusing every single time to disclose information to me. And it's going to arrive tomorrow. The foil again. Well, I'm demanding the names of my prosecutors to silence. And it arrived on February 7th. That's why I'm looking at this. This here is February 7th. Corruption requires repetition. This is February 9th. When I go to the United States Postal Service, they give me the green card. It's going to come back to me that I've showed up and I read every single green card. And then they stamp this here. So everybody's getting this. When I say everybody, the individuals that are responsible for the destruction of my life are right here. My 50th birthday, July 4, 2015, as I've said repeatedly on this Google product that is YouTube. I have a speeding ticket in Albany, New York that was dismissed when I went to court. A speeding ticket in Washington, D.C. that was dismissed when I went to court. How you live your life. It's striving for ethics and morality and decency and failing. But striving for it, knowing that those are the standards of life and how you should live your life. It's totally irrelevant in Monroe County in these corrupt courts I've been in. Penfield Town Court, New York State Supreme Court, and other courts are like this too. My friend Adam had to appear in Penfield Town Court. He hates this John P. Lomenzo Jr. with such an intensity that I'm not going to use the word that he uses to describe John P. Lomenzo Jr. Because the same thing happened to him and it happened to me with John P. Lomenzo Jr. and Paul C. Metzler. Prosecutor didn't talk to court, and he was just being declared guilty, and there he is in Monroe County Jail. How do you allow this vile, sick star chamber to be in existence and to operate and to go in there and to grovel before $28,000 bald-headed, skin-headed Paul C. Metzler and $34,000 James McNally Jr.? Your salaries are 2, 3, 4 times the amount of the salaries for these two hacks that are in the vicinity of 70 years old. Don't you think when you're in Penfield Court at the district attorney's office, what the hell am I doing in front of these two pathetic fossils? Do you think that? I am hesitant to tell anybody what they should think, even though I've done that previously. But what do you think when you're in front of Paul C. Metzler and you're groveling and you have to convince her of your rectitude and your honesty and that you represent the truth, and there she is looking at you, and you know there's no jury there. You know there's no witness box for testimony, and you're standing because there's no table for you to sit at as a prosecutor, because there's no table for a defense and attorney and a defendant. This is a joke, this road, and you're a joke allowing yourself to go in there and participate in this farce. So, silence and violence. You're going to receive it. And you're going to refuse to comply with the information I'm demanding. This is not the Freedom of Information Law. It's been updated. In the next 48 to 72 hours, I will update the FOIL. For example, this FOIL here, that's January 18th. I'm going to update this with the current date, either February 13th, February 15th, February 17th. It's going to say this. I just opened this randomly. This I think I have. This is a list of public employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office by one length of employment, day, month, and year the employee is hired. So I don't think I have to write that again. You did comply. This I know I don't have. Freedom of Information Law. Day, month, and year, Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter rehired Michael Rather after his 20-year career ended on January 2018 and sent to the email address listed below the documentation signed by Sheriff Baxter rehire Rather. You paying him private money from the campaign accounts of 2017 and 2021 to work at the Sheriff's Office. It's the answer. I believe Thomas B. DiNapoli demanded that of you, Todd Baxter. You would refuse to answer. So this is the Monroe County Sheriff's Office part-time rates. This is what I believe is the proof of nepotism. There are the children of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees who will have the same last name as the mother and father. Then have the nephews and the nieces and the grandsons and the granddaughters and the friends of your friends that could be on here. When I contact Thomas B. DiNapoli, I'll tell him, for these individuals here, where the hourly rate is $18.77, $18.38, and then everyone after that is $29. How do you determine this hourly rate? This is when you're not accountable for anyone, to anyone, or anything. And some of these names here are these modern names, like Ashley Lynn Kingsbury. Is Ashley Lynn Kingsbury the daughter of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee? Is Rayset Olivo Cruz the daughter of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee? Riley Elizabeth Bevilacqua. Is Riley Elizabeth Bevilacqua a minor and related to a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee? There was no Riley when I went to high school, and that's a beautiful, lovely name. How many minors do you employ at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter? 1. How many minors do you employ at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that are related to Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees? 2. I know you're not going to answer me. Whenever I demand information from you, I'm not under any delusion that you're going to provide it. But I'm demanding this information from you because when I contact individuals in the state of New York and in Washington, D.C. that have regulatory power and control over you, I'll say they've demanded this repeatedly, such as Thomas P. DiNapoli, who I contact soon. I hope within 2 weeks. I don't know. I want to set a time, but it'll be soon. I don't want to set a time. It'll be soon when I contact Thomas P. DiNapoli to demand that he audit you at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office. I'm going to tell the duly elected controller of the state of New York, the Alfred E. Smith building in Albany, you're refusing over and over and over to account for taxpayer dollars. Your entire sick, compulsive, nauseating, corrupt criminal existence is tax dollars. This is not monopoly money for you, you pathetic diva, Sandra Doorley. This is not monopoly money for you, you Benito Mussolini skinhead Todd Baxter. So, demanding from Regina Harper, my public defender, the name of my prosecutor's of silence. She sent this back to me. I really was shocked when I looked at it. And I sent it back to her again. This is a different envelope. She sent it back to me. Same thing with Mark Phillips. And then Mark Phillips sent it back to me again. Where's your ethics, Mark? Gina? Jance McNair, the Office of Public Integrity, former employee of the Sheriff's Office. I think there are 200 documents in here. Massive conflict of interest for him. And again, Jance McNair. Jance McNair sent this back to me twice. I'll guess he's seen me here on YouTube. Former employee of the Sheriff's Office. He should be fired immediately. Which I'm going to contact whoever the director, he's the director of the Office of Public Integrity. But whoever is his supervisor, he has to have a boss. I don't believe that's an independent authority, such as the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate, my former employers, have offices and institutions that are independent, where the bureaucrats in them can't be fired. I don't know who has regulatory power and control over Jance McNair. I'm going to find out. I'm going to tell whoever his boss is, if in fact he has a boss, that he's sending me my envelopes back to me. I've never met him, never had a conversation with him. So why is Jance McNair, the Office of Public Integrity, sending my certified mail or registered mail or UPS, whatever it is, back to me? I'll guess he's seen me on YouTube. He's a joke, Jance McNair. So, now, one final document I'm going to read about how you're above the law. I demanded this on January 18th. When I was a state employee in Albany for the majority of the government, I would hear frequently, 5-6 times a year to me is frequently for this, that someone I knew received a DWI. In Albany, there's Central Avenue, Washington Avenue, Western Avenue, and Madison Avenue are the 4 main roads in Albany. And you would hear about somebody you knew got a DWI. How many employees of Monroe County Sheriff's Office and Monroe County District Attorney's Office have been arrested for driving while intoxicated? Again, why you're the most ridiculous cliche there is. You're above the law January 18th. I'm going to write this again soon. And you refuse again. Freedom of information. The number of employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter, arrested for driving while intoxicated. Freedom of information. The number of employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra, arrested for driving while intoxicated. There are questions that you can ask in life where you risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, and I'm always aware of that. I never want to come across that way. But I have been familiar in my places of employment in Albany, New York, and Washington, D.C. with how DWIs can get fixed. Are you fixing DWIs at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office? And I'll ask you that directly. I'm not even going to speculate as to what the answer is. You tell me the answer, Sandra, Doorley, Todd, Baxter, because the answer is yes or no. So I'll continue to be in contact with you at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office because soon, I hope within the week, I'm going to contact Lollipop Farm Humane Society. And I'm going to tell them about the day you showed up to my residence. To the man, my little guy, who was with me for 8 years. I was able to adopt him because I passed background check, passed the interview with my then girlfriend, Laura Riley. And then when I was out of jail, the first 2 times, I had to go back to Lollipop and get him, which was agonizing days both times because they could have kept him from me. But they didn't because they knew what happened to me, and then they asked me what happened to me, and I told them. So what has happened to me should never happen to any citizen. No citizen in the United States of America should be in jail once when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court. And I have been in jail 6 times when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court. And despite me using the legally binding document of the Freedom of Information Law to demand you, Sandra Doorley, disclose who these psychopaths are that are doing this to me at the District Attorney's Office, you've refused every time. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I'm an innocent man.